Great. Well, first question would be, why have you decided to run for governor?
Because of the direction the state is going. I think you need a complete U-turn. We need to give people more opportunity, especially the youth.
Yeah,
You know, the way we're going, nobody's going to be able to afford a house very soon.
yeah,
And it's not conceivable for a 30-year-old to be living in his mother's basement forever, right? And I think we kind of got away from family issues, right?
yeah,
We need to rebuild the family, a little bit more stability, and so forth and so on. And plus, I think that the fear of AI is creating, you know, it's becoming a major issue with a lot of,
yeah,
working families, right? And the
yeah,
cost of living, I think, is a disaster. It's a complete disaster. I think there's also too much fraud when it comes to homelessness and everything that deal with the government. So we completely detached from the government, right? Is that they
yeah,
don't represent us anymore. It doesn't matter if you vote for Republican or Democrat, nobody wants to fix the system. Okay. And I think this
yeah,
election it's is the most important election for the future
yeah,
because
yeah,
they're putting in place a system that you cannot dismantle. Okay.
yeah,
And I know some of the questions that you have with like housing and healthcare and so forth, right?
yeah,
When so how do we address those issues? Okay, I think that we have to go first at the beginning, right? Why is
yeah,
all those homes so expensive? What does the future says when it comes to employment? Number one, right? Most people are going to get unemployed or will be unemployed very soon with all the AI advancement. But
yeah, that's right.
everything that we can do when it comes to work, the state is making it impossible to get into, right? When it comes to farming and the moving out of the city. I think
Yeah,
one of the goals I have is really moving as many people out of the city as possible to have them more independent and more self-sustainable, right?
yeah,
And but the way that the system is designed right now is basically it locks you into the system, right?
yeah,
So why is it that you cannot produce your own water and your own electricity, your own food? Why is all the trees in the city don't produce any fruit?
yeah,
You know,
that's
why
yeah,
is it
that's right.
that I mean everybody talks about green, but what is green it really is about, right? If all the food we consume, you got to drive maybe 12 hours before you get to your plate. Is it really green?
Yeah,
Right? So you can also create a lot of job by just having local farming, right? People farming over there, on top of roof,
yeah,
garden left and right, and so those are the issues that I want to address, right? And then I had a debate today with my dentist. Is that everything here is afterward thoughts, right? So I'm sick. I'm going to you. You don't try to figure out what's wrong with me. You're just giving me a patch. Or you have
yeah,
high blood pressure, take this drug. Okay. But why do I have high blood pressure? I didn't have that when I was born. It just didn't come out of the flu, right? And so
yeah,
we don't really try to address the core issue of the problem. We always put band-aids on it. Okay.
yeah,
And well, when I look also at transport, for instance, a lot of the the future development that you have city targeting, right? So basically, expansion of the BART, um, unis, and all that kind of stuff. But as soon as you move out of the big cities, nothing is happening. There's no job. 2 weeks ago, I went to look at a property in
yeah,
what's it called, Lake County. There's no job there. They don't even have a major store. Okay, so what are the kids doing? Nothing. They don't even
yeah,
have a place where they can sit and have a coffee. There's nothing happening. Okay, so we have all these homeless people. If you homeless and you have no job, you have mental or health issue, okay?
Yeah.
But what are you doing in the city? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So my thinking is that, okay, I can understand people that, are low income people. They have a hard time finding homes because they can't qualify for the average rental right now,
Yeah.
but they have a full-time job. And the state give them state subsidies, right, to be able to afford living, to live, in rent a place or what have you. But if you're homeless and you have no job and you have either some medical issues or mental issues or God knows what else, okay? What
Yeah.
Why don't we move all this group of people outside the city, build some like a small village community, right? Where if your issue, for instance, if you're a homeless person on drugs and you go to the program, you qualify out of the program, you become a helper in the village for all the other
Yeah.
patients, right? So, and then that will basically alleviate all that pressure on the city,
Yeah,
right?
that's
On
right.
most of the city. But nobody wants to address it because the city is becoming a scam, right? You tax people to death, you take that money, you flip it around, and then the same person is registered at 4 different offices, okay? And all those four
Yeah.
different offices get a certain amount, basically, right, for one homeless person, and there has no incentive to get these people off the street.
Yeah.
And when you look at all the candidates right now running for governor, especially I call them from the unit party, it doesn't matter if they're
Yeah.
Republican or Democrat, it's the same nonsense. I mean, nobody wants to fix anything. And then some of the question that when I was reading, because I sent you a list where the question were really hard to
Yeah.
answer. and it's one thing. My father used to say, my father was in politics for 45 years, right? My father said it's one thing to be on the opposite side from the outside. It's another thing to be on the inside trying to fix the system. And I think
Yeah.
one of the main issues is that you can have all the best ideas in the world. Once you are in Sacramento, how do you move them through Sacramento to make them become a reality, right? And then
Yeah.
one of the main issues that we will have, no matter what, is energy issue. Right now, we have about almost 30 days of blackout in California.
Yeah.
It's going to get worse, right? Once they have all this system implemented, which is recharging cars and what's it called, all the AI options plus
Yeah.
data center. Okay, where are you going to get your electricity from? And the mantra of PG&E is not to continue developing the company. It is basically keeping the status quo as long as possible because it's cheaper for them to fight a
Yeah.
lawsuit than to fix anything. So, I mean, we're really in trouble. And every time you're trying to create or implement a system where people are completely self-sustainable, they come up with law to make it almost illegal,
Yeah. That's
right?
right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so you live in a city. Why is it that your gray water, you know what a gray water is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, why is it that it goes straight, into a recycling environment managed by the state or the city, and then straight into the sea, right? Why is it that we don't install system? They were doing that in San Jose, and it was working so well they shut it down. Okay, so why is it that you cannot process your gray water, right, in within your house, and then use that water to water your plant?
Yeah.
It will basically make it in a way where we have enough green in the city to keep the city cool. And
Yeah.
the cooler you are, the less water you use, and so forth and so on. But for them, they rather shoot it out. Okay, and if it's not a great water, what can you recycle your own water and keep drinking it?
Yeah.
Right? Why don't we don't give people an incentive to collect, rainwater, and then whenever the CD or whatever you need a plus, instead of being taxed extra, we use that water. So I mean,
Yeah.
this the system is basically broken. Okay,
Yeah.
And nobody wants to fix it. Nobody wants to fix it. I mean, when I listen to people, it's just backwork. Huh? We're going to do this, we're going to do that, but nobody is really looking at, okay, how did we get here, and how do we fix it,
Yeah.
right? So those are the main concern I have. And you know, and people say, okay, you're going to have to go green, but what is green? What green is really, right? We know solar works, but then how do you create solar panel? You need rare earth. Where does that come from? Come from China. 90% of them come from China. The rest come from, sorry about that. The rest come from Africa, okay, different countries.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so when you have the opportunity to visit those countries, you realize how toxic the process of mining the rare earth is. Okay,
Yeah,
so
it
is
is.
that really are we really green, or we have moved the pollution somewhere else so that we don't see it? So if we don't see it, then that makes it green, right? And then you have
Yeah.
all those panels that are made with this product. What do we do after they use? They're good for 15 years or maximum 18 years, whatever it is. And then how do you recycle them? It's not in the plan. Why don't we go back to the old way where my parents and my grandparents, whatever they use was always recyclable,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, I mean, we have a lot of work, and AI can do that, but we can do it. Why don't we invest in the youth and saying, okay, California has ABZ problems, okay? How do we solve removing plastic out of water? How do we remove all the drugs that people are dumping right now into the toilet and ended up in,
Yeah.
yeah. So, the state will invest X amount of money for research and development so that we can come up with something that can help the state. That will create jobs.
Yeah.
It will also create manufacturers. I mean, basically that's what we need to do. And we need to go back to the point where whatever we produce, we consume, and everything else is extra.
Yeah.
Plus, we
That's
also
true.
have to. The approach right now is being that, and that's really Western culture, is that the Earth is not alive,
Yeah.
right? Where if you look at any other culture, such as the Native American and the Asian and the African and all the Aborigines and stuff, they look at Earth as Mother Earth,
Yeah.
right? So, the Earth has to go to a certain cycle. When you crop, you got to rotate the crop and get the opportunity the Earth to come around. And right now we're using so many artificial fertilizer, right? We're about to have a serious
Yeah.
crisis because we just realized that most of fertilizer come from troubled areas, and with the war going on right now, a lot of countries are going to be in famine very soon. Okay,
Yeah, that's
where
right.
you can have rabbits, and the manure is excellent for the ground, right? And then you can mix up with cows and horses and so forth and so on. So I mean, we need to. What I say to people is, we need to go back to the source. We're not going to fix the world with technology alone, but we have to
Yeah.
fix it with common sense and moving things back to the way it used to be, right? So
Yeah.
that's my approach, right?
All right. Great. Well, on the issues you obviously you focus on housing and homelessness and tackling the cost of living crisis as well. What are specific measures that you would like to implement to ease the cost of living in the state?
Short-term approach, I think we need to get rid of the gas tax.
Yeah.
Okay, the state has to come up with incentive for people that travel more than 150, 150 miles a day to commute to work, right?
Yeah.
Incentive meaning, right, maybe come up with a credit card or whatever it is, right? That supplement your income.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on the short term, long term, we have to prioritize first responders, right? Nurses, doctors, so forth and
Yeah.
so on,
Yeah,
to be
absolutely.
able to live where you work, you know?
Yeah.
What commuting is just a nonsense. Okay. And then the only way we get to this point is by basically also changing the zoning, right? Some zoning area.
Yeah.
Okay, so chances are, if you commute a lot, you want to be close to BART or what have you, right? Public transportation. So
Yeah.
why is it that we don't make most of the housing around those corridors, if I can say that, you know, multi-level housing, like duplex, triplex, whatever it is, right? So that
Yeah.
you can have high
Yeah.
density people. You get out of your house, bump you on the BART, and you go. It will also improve BART financially viable, making BART financially viable. Okay. Some of the
Yeah.
issues also security, but that's another topic. Plus, I think that there's a lot of Mickey Mouse that's taking place in BART when it comes to financing. Some of these people are not
Yeah.
very honest in the way they manage the money, and since there's no oversight, we don't know where the money is. But making BART safer, bringing the the commuters closer to public transportation as possible. You
Yeah.
know, those that are stuck with their cars, okay, give them an incentive like the state voucher, whatever, right?
Yeah.
To commute, and especially the truckers, right? So Newsom and the Democrat passed a law where unless your truck fits certain requirement, you can no longer drive your truck on the California road. Okay,
Yeah.
but so it moves. I can't remember. It moved maybe 25,000 people out of business from one day to another. Why don't we move that date to 10 years down the road, maybe, right? Allow these
Yeah.
people to kind of compensate for transportation, right? Because most of the goods that we consume come from trucking, okay? And
Yeah. Give them some
and
time.
give us some time. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no, when I go and debate people, I tell them there's no magic bullet when it comes to energy. Or if it
Yeah, that's right.
is, I don't know. I don't know what it is, right? Because solar only works when there's sun, and then wind when there's wind. Okay, batteries, they're nice if you can store the energy, but
Yeah.
if they catch on fire, you're in trouble, right? Nobody knows how to extinguish the battery plant when it start burning. It's super toxic. Okay.
Yeah.
When those battery life is gone, how do you recycle them? Most of them you don't. Okay. And where's that go into the environment? So we need, for the time being, we need a combination of a little bit of everything, because there is no one magic bullet. And the closer to the magic bullet that we can do is nuclear, right? But everybody is
Yeah.
scared of nuclear, right? They figure if the reactor, something happened with the reactor, then is even a worst case scenario than the others.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a combination of a little bit of everything, and also moving people away from the dependency of getting stuck with the grid, right?
Yeah.
The grid to me only work for corporate America. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that if you're independent and you feed the grid when the grid needs it, it's a good idea. But if you need the grid to survive, it's a bad idea,
Yeah.
right? And what I liked about America when I moved here was it was a country that you can do everything alone by yourself. You can be
Yeah.
self-sustainable, and they've done everything to make it impossible today.
Yeah.
Okay, there's some rancher today that are drilling to pump water from a well, and the state want to put a meter on their well that they spend their money building, so that the
Yeah.
state can get a revenue. The water belongs to the people, it doesn't belong to the state, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So if you pay for my well and you want to bill me on it, I can understand it. If everything I done is out of pocket and you want to take some money out of it, I think it's wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we also need to build more water reservoir because right
Yeah.
now, it's wishful thinking, right? Hopefully this year it will rain, this next year won't, and if you made bulldozing a little bit, the extreme code that we have when it comes to environment, there won't be any environment if we're all dead from not having access to drinkable water, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also managing the fires, because fires, when it comes to California, is very predictable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had a briefing a few months ago with the chief of one of the chief of the fire department. He was telling me that they can pinpoint where the next fire is going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you know that ahead of time, why don't we address it before it happened? Well, the state does not want to allocate any money to prevent it from happening.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. So we have money. For instance, we have so much money to fight the Trump administration. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's a waste of money. Why is it that we don't address the issue here? Like when we talk about immigration, okay? Everybody is saying, well, we have to get rid of all the Latinos that live here in California. Fine. Okay, if all the Latinos that live in California are gone, who's going to work?
Yeah. That's right.
Right? And I say, the Latino were here before all of us were here.
Yeah.
If my memory is correct, it used to belong to Mexico. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And then there was no any border when they belonged to Mexico. We came up with a border and say, oh, now you can cross this line because now it belongs to me. Okay, so to me, it doesn't make any sense. But we have, I don't know how many people in California, maybe let's say we have 10 million people in California that are undocumented people. Okay, so they created what they call sanctuary city. To me, it's a joke, right? Because what does that mean exactly? It doesn't protect me if I'm undocumented, because I'm
Yeah.
stressed out that they're going to pick me in the street or what have you, and boom, I'm gone, right? So why is it that we don't do things right? So I'm the governor of California. I allocate, I don't know, X amount of million of dollars, and we're going to lobby Washington, because that's where it comes from, to
Yeah.
pass, immigration reform. Because anything else is not happening, people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a gentleman a few years back. He was telling me that he got his driver license. He's undocumented. He got his driver license. Now he can drive. And I say, yes, a really good idea. But guess what? Will come a time where DMV will be reporting everybody that got a license that was not documented, and they will come and pick every one of you like a cherry out of a tree, right?
Yeah.
and I read yesterday that's what's happening. Yeah, so we really need reform. We need to allow people, to whatever the situation, regular, to be documented or what have you, right? So they can work legally. The families are not torn apart, okay? And
Yeah.
and they can contribute, because right now we are making people that contribute to the system, we're making them criminals.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, in the past 40 years, I have not yet met anybody that was born in the United States that want to do my landscape. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Totally.
I mean, most country in the world, it's always the first generation that migrate to the country that do all the hard labor. Their kids go
Yeah,
to
that's right.
school, they don't want to do this work anymore. They want to be dentist, doctor, what have you. But the first one, what did we do with them? They still need work, and if they don't participate, look at the housing environment. Okay, when you go to all the housing site, who's working? You know?
Yeah.
So I mean, those are that's also why the cost, sometimes the cost of house to build is cheap. Okay, now they want to replace it with robotic, but are they really going to work? Okay. What if you have a site where you don't have electricity while you need to build? You're going to bring a generator. The generator will be powered with what? Diesel? That's green. You know, I mean, so it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
we're going, everything is going around in circle, and without really addressing all the real issues, right?
Yeah.
Everything is a band-aid.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you the last question would be about healthcare and mental health issues, of course. Like, what
Okay.
are the issues that you want the measures that you want to implement on those issues?
Well, I think that I look at the single payer healthcare system.
Yeah,
Okay. And the reality is that between what you believe and other people believe, you know, doesn't make a policy. Do you understand what I mean?
yeah,
So I believe that we need a system that works for everybody.
yeah,
But but that's my point of view. Maybe some people prefer having a more flexible system so they can cherry pick whatever they want, whatever they don't want. But
yeah,
for sure, we need to come up with a system similar to what they have in Congress. Okay. Congress has
yeah,
the best medical system ever. I mean, I am appalled when I see an American citizen having to go on GoFundMe to find money for the treatment of the cancer treatment.
yeah,
Okay. I got a friend of mine going through that right now. My sister, she's not in GoFundMe, but she's also struggling with cancer. So, I mean, those are the people we need to really focus on. And I think that if we address it in the proper way, right? Meaning that
yeah,
if we do more preventive medicine instead of I'm catching you now because you have cancer, so let's catch you up and hopefully it will keep you together within the next 5 years. If you don't die, that you're a lucky person, right?
yeah,
We should target from the beginning. Like, why don't we no longer do um what they call parasite test on anybody. Okay. And
yeah,
there are some studies that are coming up right now, whereas and that's preventive, right? There's studies that are coming up right now
yeah,
where parasite drugs are working on people that have cancer.
yeah,
You know, what is that to say that the cancer didn't get to that point because we never addressed the parasite? Right? So I
yeah,
mean, we need to do preventive. Plus, we have the advancement of technology. One of the ideas I have, right? So basically, I don't have any money, or I just got to graduate high school. I want to be independent. I have a little job. I don't make enough money. I can't afford to pay, um, expensive, healthcare because unless you work for somebody, a company that can provide you.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so either we create a system where as an independent, you can chip in and you can have access to the basic healthcare, or we bring the cost low, by, for instance, there's like, I forgot what they call those nurse, they can do prescription, what they call, forgot the name. But there's a type of nurse that can prescribe drugs, right?
yeah,
So so why don't we have some small clinic managed by nurse like that, okay? Where even if you live, let's say you live 100 miles from that small clinic, okay? The
yeah,
nearest town from you, 100 miles. Well, but we improve the network, when it comes to communication by, let's say, making Wi-Fi almost like the telephone free. Okay.
yeah,
And I am in the middle of, let's say, Lake County, whatever. Okay. And I need to speak to a doctor. I'm not feeling really good. I can't have access to a doctor, but I have access to that nurse. Okay. And I can do maybe
yeah,
a Zoom, right? And that Zoom cost me $30.
Yeah.
Okay. That I mean that's better than nothing.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
And then
Yeah.
right now, San Jose is charging people $425 if you don't have an insurance and you call 911 and you need a, you know, what that, an ambulance to pick you up.
Yeah.
But if you don't, what if I don't? So if I'm sick and I just spent all my money right now on rent, I have maybe $20 left, but I need to get to the emergency because I'm having a heart attack. I got to decide whether I'm going to call 911 or gamble taking my getting behind the cars and driving all the way over there and not making
Yeah.
it. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make any sense, right? So when it comes to healthcare, those are the things that we need to address. We need to make it more flexible. We need to come up with a lot of system that works and not rely so much on insurance because like I was talking today to my dentist and he was telling me that they're making so difficult for them to get reimbursed to the point that you can't even get the money for your services anymore.
Yeah.
And now they don't want to cover a lot of people and we have an issue with insurance when it comes to health, but we also have insurance issue when it comes to insuring your house, right?
Yeah.
So those are I don't know if I answered your question properly, but I did my best.
Yeah. Yeah. You did. You did. Great. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for answering all my questions. And well, best
You're
wishes
welcome.
for you.
Okay, you too. Okay, thank you. You have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful
Take
day.
care.
Okay,
You
bye.
too.
Bye.
Bye.